Hundreds of Hamas terrorists in Lebanon have placed themselves at the disposal of Hezbollah's Radwan force in apparent preparations for a joint attack against Israel following the assassination of Hezbollah's chief of staff. Iran has also woken up following this operation, threatening that they are ready to return to attacking Israel. But after a funeral in which they said farewell to their military leader, Hezbollah's fate seems to be sealed. And in the Gaza Strip, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorist organization announced that it had located a fallen hostage, but did not say that it would be transferred to Israel. Speaking of the Gaza Strip, there are indications that the IDF is preparing for another operation to finally eliminate Hamas, which shows no signs of disarming as they agreed to do in the ceasefire agreement. Also, after 4.5 months, the Gaza Humanitarian Fund is shutting down its operations in the Gaza Strip as a fraudulent Muslim Brotherhood plan to raise money for Gaza in Europe is exposed. Welcome to Boots on the Ground. I'm your host Yair Pinto, bringing you all the truth about what's happening in Israel. After the assassination of Hezbollah's chief of staff Haytham Ali Tababti in Beirut's Dahya neighborhood on Sunday, there are signs of dangerous cooperation between the terrorist organization in Lebanon. Hamas has placed hundreds of fighters to Lebanon to join Hezbollah's Radwan forces in preparation for a future strike on Israel. Israel, for its part, is trying to curb Hamas's expansion in Lebanon. And for their part, Hezbollah is making many contradictory statements about the assassination of their chief of staff. Some sources close to Hezbollah told the El Hadat media portal that the assassination of Tababbi constituted a surprising and strong blow to the party at the same time because it was outside our expectations. Yet, on the other hand, additional associates said that striking our leaders through assassination and operations has been expected by the party for months. And meanwhile, on the Lebanese media portal El Nasara, it was claimed that Hezbollah is in its most difficult situation in 40 years and is unable to respond militarily to Israeli strikes. According to the writer, the daily strikes by Israel's Air Force are causing Hezbollah more casualties than during the war that ended a year ago this month. However, the defense establishment is also preparing for the possibility that the Houthis will respond with fire towards Israel following the assassination of Haytham el-Tababbi. Tabtabbi was responsible for the connection with the Houthis, taught them combat doctrines, and was considered a kind of spiritual leader to this terrorist organization. Also, a question has arisen about the timing of the assassination and whether or not the Trump administration was fully informed, as well as why it supported the assassination and increased the pressure on Hezbollah. And meanwhile, in the Gaza Strip, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad organization announced that it has located the remains of a fallen hostage, but did not say that it would transfer him to Israel. After a report on Al Jazeera that the remains of the fallen hostage were found in northern Nuzirat, IDF forces struck 3 terrorists who crossed the yellow line in Khan Yunis and approached the troops in a manner that constituted an immediate threat to them, and with it being said that hits were identified. All this brings up questions about whether Israel is on the way to a game-changing move in the Gaza Strip. The combination of operational readiness with an offensive policy that is no longer willing to contain threats may bring the end of the rule of the terrorist organization Hamas closer despite international pressures. And finally, there are reports that the Muslim Brotherhood in Sweden and in Gaza use schools and charitable donations to fund political and economic activities with their financial influence, which is growing dangerously. So we have a lot to talk about today, so let's dive into the details. I'm Yair Pinto, and this is your Boots on the Ground report, bringing you all the truth about what's happening in Israel, including the continuing battle and the latest news from all the fronts from the north to the south. And a moment before we begin, I want to call on all of you to continue in spreading the truth, share and follow us. And the most important thing that you can do is to hit the subscribe button so that you help us share more people with the truth of what is happening in Israel. In the last 24 hours, IDF forces struck 3 terrorists who crossed the yellow line in 2 incidents that occurred simultaneously in the Gaza Strip. According to the IDF spokesperson's unit, the first incident occurred in Khan Yunis, when Kfir IDF infantry combat team forces identified a terrorist who crossed the line and approached the forces in a manner that posed an immediate threat to them. In another incident in the area, the forces identified 2 terrorists who crossed the yellow line and approached the IDF troops that are operating in the area in a manner that posed an immediate threat. And after identification, the Air Force, directed by the forces on the ground, struck 3 terrorists in order to remove the threat. The statement added that the IDF forces under the Southern Command are deployed in the area in accordance with the ceasefire agreement and the outline of this agreement, and will continue to act to remove any immediate threat. As a reminder, over the last weekend, there were repeated violations of the ceasefire by Hamas, amongst them an armed terrorist who crossed the yellow line, cynically using and exploiting the humanitarian route to which humanitarian aid enters the southern parts of the Gaza Strip area. The terrorists opened fire towards the IDF forces that are deployed in the southern parts of the Gaza Strip, with no casualties. Immediately after identification, Southern Brigade forces fired and eliminated the terrorists, and in response, IDF forces went on to strike Hamas targets throughout the Gaza Strip, and in one of the strikes, the terrorist Ala Hadidi, who served as the head of the supply and equipment department in Hamas's production headquarters, was eliminated. The IDF noted that Hadidi constituted a central knowledge hub in the organization's supply and the production field, and served during the war as a conduit for transferring weapons from Hamas headquarters to the battalions and the commanders in the field for fighting against our troops. In eastern Rafah, the area where just this past weekend 17 Hamas operatives were eliminated or arrested, Golani, Nahal, and Ya'alam combat engineering forces continue to operate against the terrorist organization's objectives within the yellow line area, above and also below the ground. The forces must contend with a complex tunnel system, many kilometers long, but clarify that they will not stop until they complete the mission, eliminating the terrorists or forcing their surrender. Golani Brigade Commander Colonel Adi Ganon declared that the primary mission is to destroy or capture the enemy, and we continue trying to locate them in this area. The tunnel system in the Rafah area is very complex, and the terrorists who remain there, including a battalion commander from the Rafah sector, prepared in advance for a prolonged stay. However, as time passes, and as the IDF gradually closes in on their location, the terrorist supplies are running out, and they are forced to come above ground, where the forces close the circle against them and find them. However, the army assesses that dozens of terrorists remain in tunnel pockets in the area, and the Golani Brigade commander explained that the forces are working day and night with several methods and techniques to find them. He added that we are employing all means, both from the air and from the ground, and the conditions on the ground allow us all the options that we want. This allows us to employ here all types of fire, and accordingly we act. It's simple and to the point. Colonel Ganol also noted that it is a complex mission during which Hamas terrorists must be located within the underground, emphasizing that if it were simple to strike from the air, we would strike from the air. The security of our forces is an integral part of this mission. As part of activity in the area over the past week, IDF forces destroyed hundreds of meters of underground routes and struck more than 60 targets, and amongst the targets that were struck were about 15 shafts and about 40 buildings used by the terrorist organization inside the Gaza Strip. In addition, the forces located a Hamas flag, military equipment, and weapons in the yellow line area of Rafah, including firearms and explosive devices. In related news, days after the remains of many Gudard were returned to Israel, the Qatari Al Jazeera network reported at noon on Monday that the remains of a fallen hostage held by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad were located in the northern Nusirat part of the Gaza Strip area. The terrorist organization confirmed the details, saying, "Today, we found the body of one of the enemy's captives during searchings and diggings in an area under IDF control in the central part of the Gaza Strip." For the time being, Israel has not confirmed this report. However, it was further reported that the remains will be transferred to the Red Cross according to the accepted protocol and in coordination with the competent parties, including the El-Qassam brigades, the military wing of Hamas, as well as the Committee of Egyptian Mediators. 3 fallen hostages remain in the Gaza Strip: Staff Sergeant Ran Guli, Dror Or, and the Thai citizen Suntiak Rintalak. And conditions on the ground continue to be problematic after 2 years of intense fighting. Amidst all of this, Israelis are divided regarding the approach towards Hamas, which has not yet returned the 3, as they committed to do in the agreement that was signed together with President Trump. And here at TBN Israel, we will continue to report on every development in this issue. So keep spreading the truth, share, and follow us. And most importantly, do not forget to click the subscribe button so that you remain tuned to what's happening in Israel and know how to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Subscribe to TBN Israel YouTube channel and follow Boots on the Ground. Now, I want to speak to you about one of our partners. If you watched our show before, you probably already know about the miracle of Arza. I'm really excited to share this with all of you. Arza has launched their brand new Christmas box called Nativity Night, and it's their most incredible box yet. Each year, their Christmas box sells out faster and faster, and this year, because of huge demand, they're already almost gone. So every single item inside your Arza box is handmade by local Israeli artisans and small family businesses. So with your purchase, you're directly blessing and supporting the people of Israel while bringing the Holy Land, the land of the Bible where Jesus walked, right to your house. Inside, there is a gorgeous hand-painted ceramic plate depicting the night of the Nativity, delicious foods and spices, a beautiful hand-carved olive wood nativity ornament from Bethlehem, and so many other handcrafted treasures that bring the story of Christmas to life. Every item is designed to help you experience the true meaning of Christmas from the Holy Land itself. And they're only selling this box for a few more days, and it's almost sold out. Plus, they just increased our discount, and you will get 15% off with the code TBNIL15. So, if you love Israel, or you know someone who does, this is the perfect gift to celebrate Christmas and share the beauty of the Holy Land with your loved ones. Go to arzabox.com/TBNIL and get yours today. And again, that's arzabox.com/TBNIL. And don't forget to use the coupon code TBNIL for 15% off of your subscription. And now, we're getting back into the news and keeping our focus on the Gaza Strip. While it may seem that Israel is bound to discussions and international understandings regarding the future of the Gaza Strip, and that the elimination of the Hamas terrorist organization is not a realistic goal, in my assessment, Israel is getting very close to a military operation that will end this terrorist organizations and its rule of Gaza once and for all. Alongside the international willingness to advance President Trump's 21-point plan, Israel is preparing for a forced choice, and the IDF is already formulating concrete military plans ahead of this significant step. This preparedness aligns with Israel's new security concept, which acts proactively to thwart all threats to its security without any containment of terror, as we saw earlier this week in Beirut. All these indicate that the combination between the new policy and the concept and the operational readiness is bringing Israel closer to the next phase in the Gaza Strip, a move intended to change reality and clarify that Israel will not allow these threats to entrench themselves alongside it. And furthermore, it was revealed this week that there is military coordination not seen before between the terrorist organization Hamas and Hezbollah on the Lebanese soil. According to a report, in recent months, Hamas's military wing allocated entire companies comprising hundreds of fighters who are to join the Radwan forces, Hezbollah's elite unit, and be ready to act if and when the decision to act against Israel is made. According to information obtained by the Kan media portal, Hezbollah's decision to allow extensive integration of a Hamas force stems from its military weakening due to the fighting against Israel, while Hamas is actually gaining strength in Lebanon, expanding its activity and increasing rocket production. The main activity hubs are in the cities of Tyre, Sidon, and Tripoli. Israel, for its part, is trying to curb Hamas's expansion in Lebanon, as for instance last week when the Air Force struck a Hamas recruitment center in Sidon. And in the IDF spokesperson's announcement after the strike, it was stated that it was aimed at terrorists who operated in a training compound of the Hamas terrorist organization in the Ain el-Khilech area in southern Lebanon. And according to the spokesperson, the military compound that was struck served Hamas terrorists for training and qualifications in order to plan and carry out terrorist schemes against IDF forces and against the state of Israel. And meanwhile, in Beirut, the funeral was held on Monday for Ali Khaitam Tabtabi, second in command of Hezbollah and the acting chief of staff of the terrorist organization. He was eliminated in an Israeli strike in the Dakhya neighborhood on Sunday, while at the same time the Lebanese report an Israeli UAV flying over the capital skies. Tabtabi was given a military funeral procession that included his coffin being carried by operatives dressed in military uniforms and red berets, alongside a plain band. At the funeral, the chants, "At your command, Nasrallah, death to Israel and death to America," were heard. Tabtabi was eliminated alongside 4 additional Hezbollah operatives. 2 of them were buried with him in Dakhya, the 3rd in the El Beka area, and the 4th in the village of Atiron in southern Lebanon. The Trump administration also made statements about the assassination. Senior officials said that it was surprised by the timing of the Israeli strike in Lebanon, but supports the elimination of Hezbollah's chief of staff, Tabtabi, and the intensification of the military pressure on the terrorist organization alongside political pressure regarding its disarmament. And the American administration is exerting heavy pressure on the Lebanese government to implement the decision it itself adopted and to disarm Hezbollah of its weapons. And in a recent communication, the Americans clarified to the Lebanese government that if they do not act against Hezbollah, Israel will do so. And behind the scenes, a senior American official said that the Trump administration knew for several days that Israel was heading for escalation against Hezbollah, but in Washington they did not know the timing of the strike, the location of the strike, and the target of the assassination. The American official also noted that immediately after the strike, Israel updated the United States regarding the target that was terminated. Senior American officials also noted that in the talks that were held between the United States and the Lebanese government after the assassination, the Lebanese did not voice sharp protests and did not ask to exert American pressure on Israel. A senior American official said that the Lebanese government is acting to contain the event and prevent a Hezbollah response that could drag the country into war with Israel once more. The Americans also do not want to see further escalation as a result of the assassination and are conveying a message to Hezbollah through intermediaries that it is not in the organization's interests to respond. And here, at TBN Israel, we will continue to bring you the ongoing updates on the front with Hezbollah in Lebanon. Keep spreading the truth, share, and follow us, and make sure to pray for the situation. Never miss another episode of Boots on the Ground if you want to know what's happening in Israel. A Western diplomat working in Lebanon noted this week that Israel is now going after the next generation of Hezbollah's leadership after annihilating so many of their veteran commanders in the campaign that ended a year ago this month. The diplomat added, Israel is peeling them layer by layer. Also this week, a senior American official stated that in accordance with the message conveyed from Iran, in which it was said that the resilience axis will respond at the right time to the assassination of Hezbollah's chief of staff, Washington assesses that the terrorist organization is not heading for escalation. And to make a brief comment on my own, I've said this before, talk is cheap, especially in the Middle East. Whenever the Iranians say that they will respond to something Israel or America does at the right time, you can be fairly certain that they will never respond. However, sometimes they direct their proxies to respond for them, and in Israel's defensive establishment, they are preparing for the possibility that the Houthis will respond with fire towards Israel following the assassination of Ali Tabtabi. Security officials familiar with the details note that the assassination, which was carried out by the Air Force precisely thanks to excellent intelligence, leaves Hezbollah in distress. Hezbollah's Secretary General, Naim Qassem, threatened this week that his organization would respond to Israeli aggression, and it is now debating the best way to proceed. And according to the Israeli analysis, Hezbollah has about 4 possible courses of action. The first possibility is that Hezbollah is preparing for a response and will do so at the time convenient to it. A second option is that the organization will try to plan a more complex operation in order to surprise Israel, for example, through a raid on one of the most forward outposts of the IDF in South Lebanon, or some kind of fire. A third option is fire by the Houthi terrorist organization from Yemen, while a fourth option is that for now the organization will decide to show restraint. Here at TBN Israel, we'll continue to update you on events moving forward, so keep spreading the truth, share, follow us, and most importantly, make sure to hit the subscribe button so that you never miss another episode of Boots on the Ground. And now we're switching our focus to events in Iran. Ali Larijani, the secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, called for a direct confrontation with Israel on Sunday evening following Israel's assassination of Hezbollah's chief of staff and 4 other senior operatives in Beirut earlier in the day. In an Arabic language post on the local network X, Larijani also expressed condolences for the deaths, noting that the dead reached their wish. He added that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu continues his adventurism to the point where everyone will conclude that there is no choice left but a direct confrontation with Israel, which he called the fake entity. In the evening hours, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps published another threat statement and wrote, "The revenge for Tabtabi will come at the set time, and the response to the Zionist terrorist entity will be crushing." Once again, talk is cheap, especially in the Middle East. Nevertheless, keep spreading the truth, share, and follow us. And most importantly, do not forget to pray for the peace of Israel. Pray for the leaders that are involved in making all these very tough decisions regarding everything that's happening in this region. Make sure to pray for our soldiers. Make sure to pray for all the innocent lives. Also, in the areas under Hamas control, under Hezbollah control, the Iranian people, pray for them. Let's pray for the people of Israel. Let's pray for peace. Let's pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.